Good evening, everyone, and welcome to another edition of Speaker Circle. This evening, I am over the moon honored to have with me Miss Kay Rodriguez. Kay is not just a phenomenal individual, she's an entrepreneur, a radio personality, and personally responsible for all of the branding for LisaAskYou.com. So please welcome today with me the one and only beautiful Miss Kay Rodriguez.
Hi, everyone. I'm so excited to be here. Thank you so much, Lisa, for having me. This is just great. I love it.
Oh my gosh, I'm so excited to have you as well. And thank you all for watching us today. Our topic is one that is universal to everyone, and that's how to be confident in who you are and captivate your audience with charisma. Before we get started on this captivating topic, tell us a little bit about your background.
Absolutely. So I am a radio personality. I have been working with Spinnaker Radio for probably about 3 or 4 years now. It's been a while. I'm like, wow, it's weird to actually think about it. So I've been doing that. And then I'm the owner of KDL, which I have the pleasure of working with Lisa and other solopreneurs, where we just really do a lot of branding, graphic design, and we really help solopreneurs to pick that the avenue they're trying to go down and really brand them and give them the guide and the tools that they need to be successful. So that's a little bit about me. But as far as speaking, I kind of grew up a theater kid, loved performing, loved dancing, singing, the whole nine. Did it in church, did it at school, did it at home. If I could just, that's just me. I'm always singing. My dad actually would definitely be like, why are you just singing all the time? Like, I don't know. Who doesn't want to sing all the time? I guess that's just me. So yeah, that kind of, as I grew up, has grown into being a radio personality, which I didn't know was something that I could do until right at the end of college. And now I've had the opportunity to be able to do that basically since graduation. It's been really awesome.
That is awesome. And I don't even know if I've shared this with you, but I was a radio personality for my freshman year in college, and also my senior year in high school for WSQL. And my radio name was Lisa Love. So we definitely have that in common.
I love it. Wow. I didn't know that.
Yes. You learn something new every day. And I love that you talked about singing, because it is a confidence builder, whether you can hold a note or not. Being able to sing, it just gets you so joyous, and then it really builds confidence. So just transitioning into that, I mean, you are a very accomplished and beautiful woman. So people might look at you and say, how do you have a problem with confidence and captivating? So share, is this something you had to grow into and learn? And what were some of your lessons that you learned through the process?
Absolutely. So I do have a natural confidence about me, and I also have a natural self-consciousness about me. So there's this constant war between feeling like, the kid in class where the teacher, you're like, I just have to raise my hand, but then also like, oh my gosh, my hand is up. What if people think that's weird? What if this? And so just trying to figure out how to live in that without letting my self-consciousness kind of take over. And it's a practice. I mean, that's a big thing that when we get to the conversation, we're really going to talk about. Confidence is about practice. I mean, think about something you've done 80 times. You feel like I can do that with my eyes closed. Like you don't even have to think about it, versus something you're doing for the first or second time and you're kind of like fumbling, or like, I don't really know what I'm doing. You're looking around for like guidance. So it's practice, like what you do. And even just the act of being confident is a practice. And the more that you practice it, the better you get it.
Now, that's interesting, because when you're practicing things, like if you're practicing tennis or football or some type of sport, you have a scoring system. So if you're practicing confidence, what's the best way to tell if you're nailing it? Or is it a feeling, or is it an indication from people that are around you?
Yeah, that's really great. I'll say that for me personally, I think it's a little different for everyone. One thing I've been doing a lot lately is really listening to what people are saying about me, about my personality, and not in a self-conscious way, more so in a way I want to learn. I want to take the data. What do I need to work on? What's working? And one thing I've been hearing a lot, specifically lately, is, oh, you have a really great personality. You're glowing, this and that. And I'm like, okay, I'm taking this in as information. Perfect. I can add this to my list of strengths. Like, excellent. And there are things that I've heard that I've had to add to my list of weaknesses, which on a personal level, I really think that weaknesses are just a part of your unrefined strengths, right? So I've been told, oh, you have a really big personality in a negative way, or, oh, you're really obnoxious. And it's like, okay, from an information standpoint, what can I take from that? And there's, you take everything with a grain of salt, you eat the meat, you spit out the bones, right? But then also, like, this person thinks I have a big personality. Is that about them? Is that about me? Let me just do a little bit of review. Let me ask around. This person thinks I'm obnoxious. And, it's all about learning. It's truly all about learning. And that, for me, has helped me with my confidence. And this is specifically in a personality area. But even still, like, listen to what people tell you you're good at, what they go to you for. Hey, like, I just feel like I can talk to you. You're a really good listener. Like, you can have confidence in the fact that, oh, I'm a really good listener. And I know that I can do that for people.
And that is such an important thing, because it is 75% of communication is your listening ability. How readily available can you listen, and not just to rebuttal, but to really digest and understand. Now, I have to just say, when you said eat the meat and spit out the bones, I was laughing inside so hard, because Kayla is vegan, so I thought that was even more ironic.
But it was no translation to that, guys. Like,
great analogy. I thought that was funny, but inside I was just cracking up even more. And I like how you said about the feedback. It truly is. If you have several people telling you the same thing, chances are they're right. So listen to it with the edification spirit. Don't take offense to it. I have the same thing. People tell me, and I still, even in my adult life, you're too happy, you're too nice. They think you're not genuine because you're happy. And some people are turned off by people who have big personalities or are happy. And I did not understand how to navigate that. So in certain spaces, I would try to change who I am to make other people feel more comfortable. But then I ultimately ended up hurting myself. So now I just learned to temper my personality to the situation. So is that a part of being confident, is being able to be a chameleon when you have to, or is that being fake? What are your thoughts about that?
I love that you brought that up, because if we think about it, there's so many different aspects to us, right? We have like really bubbly, like, I know me, I can break myself down. I'm like, oh, I have my really bubbly, happy, I'm singing around the house, Kayla. And then I have my kind of like, I'm tired today, I'm still engaged, I'm listening to you, but I'm kind of demure. Then I have the Kayla that really likes to be just kind of a part of the team and a part of the group, and is like listening, but engaged, and it's gonna fill in those gaps. You have to know those different aspects of yourself so that you can bring those to your group. Because I do feel like, so here's the thing that we typically struggle with, right? People want to over cater to people, but then they're not themselves. But then you have people who are like, well, this is just who I am, but then not catering to people. And there's gotta be a nice balance between, hey, I can be myself, but let me also know my audience, or know who my friends are, or like kind of feel the energy in the room right now. And maybe they don't need this aspect of who I am today, which is not a bad thing. That's us being kind to others, and that's us being considerate, but we're still gonna be ourselves. And I think too, like, that in a time today is so important, just with everything, all the conversations, how the world is moving. Like, we need to figure out when we need to tone it down a little bit, and we need to figure out when we need to turn it up. Like, making sure your voice is heard, but also making sure you're being a good listener too. That's how you gain trust.
Absolutely. And I just want to take a moment to thank everyone. We have lots of great comments. Austin, which is your better half, is giving you a shout out. And I do love that you said that. And I want to bring up, I have one of my favorite leaders that's on the call, James Supa. What's up? He was actually my boss, and probably was one of the most pivotal people that helped me as a leader, because when you are in leadership, you have these moments where you're second guessing yourself. And I'll never forget him having lots of coaching with me and saying, listen, whatever you decide and however you're going to come out, be confident and own it. Own it. Now, with you being an entrepreneur and a lot of others, how do you gauge that? Is it based on your different clients, or who do you get most of your feedback from, and how you're dealing with business?
Absolutely. So I think in general, I get feedback from the people I trust. And some of those people are clients. And for those of you here, like, Lisa is a client that I trust. I would go, hey, Shantae, hey, girl. I haven't say hi to everyone, but I was just in the middle of a chat and saw that. But I do, one thing, I'm like, if I trust you, I really want your feedback and unadulterated feedback. Just give it to me straight. But that trust is a really big factor, right? So I'm not just going to go ask anyone. I'm not going to ask any client or any friend at that. I want to truly ask friends who I feel like they're really taking into account who I am. They've really listened. They've seen. I know they believe in me. And those are the people who I'm asking for feedback in those areas. And I think you have to be open to hearing it. I mean, my best friend, she knows that I'm not always super excited to get the hard feedback. But I'm going to take that into consideration because I know that she loves me, and it really helps with my confidence to know that there are people I can go to and truly ask, like, hey, where do I need to refine, this area? Someone called me obnoxious. Do you think that's true? And you have people too that'll be like, girl, brush that off. Don't worry about it. You'll have people that'll be like, yeah, you actually may need to work on that too. So
and being able to accept that is what the powerful part about it is. So wow.
Key in confidence. It's hard to know where you are lacking or where you need some work, but when you get to take ownership and truly take control of, your strengths and your weaknesses, I'm telling you, it's helped to skyrocket my confidence. It hurts at first, but now I know that I'm in control of what I can work on, how I can speak to people, how I can connect with people, just the whole nine.
Yes. Oh my gosh, you're amazing. And of course, Derek Lott, which I'm sure is not only one of your great clients, but probably a biggest fan of yours, says feedback is tough. Let's be real. It really is. But when you can take it, and that's why just a little plug for Toastmasters. I really and truly love Toastmasters because they thrive on feedback. That's what it's all about. And one of my dear hearts, we also have to consider the source. That's true. So when you're getting feedback and trying, if it's going to hurt your confidence, just be aware of the source. Because there are some people who don't have the best intentions. And we have who's Kayla's biggest fan? Hey,
that's awesome.
So besides confidence, how do you transform that into charisma or captivating people? What's the key to that?
I know this is cliche, but I have to say it because I feel like people aren't listening. So I'm going to keep saying it until we listen. That's be yourself. As weird or as quiet or whatever that is, you have to be it because we live in a world, of course, we always hear the word authenticity. We kind of throw it around. But the truth of the matter is that people can slice through your inauthenticity when you're trying to be this bubbly person and that's not you, or you're trying to be really chill and demure and that's not you. I think the first step is owning who you are, own who God made you. And start there. And that's probably the hardest step, to be honest. It's this is just who I am. I'm a little weird. I know for me, I'm really bubbly. Not everyone likes that. I have really chill moments. I kind of go up and down. And I think that's okay. I've owned who I am. I have to refine some aspects of that. But take ownership of that and realize not every audience is for you. And that's okay. You can still meet people where they are.
I love it. And now do you do... Even with yourself, I know we grow and evolve. So you recommended a lot of fantastic books to me. Do you kind of do a quarterly review of yourself and say, hey, let me see how I can build or be a better version of Kayla? How's your process for that?
Yeah, so we can talk about books and we can talk about process. So first with books, Tony Hernandez, who is my business coach, she is phenomenal. She's amazing. She recommended to me the 4 agreements, and it was life-changing for me. From the perspective of there are 4 different things, and I want you guys to go check that out because I truly believe that everyone should read that book. But one of the agreements was don't take things personally, and that hit me right here because as someone who is, as a radio personality, as someone who's been on YouTube, who's gotten critiques and just the whole 9, it's remembering hey, take it as data. Okay, let's not take it personally. This person doesn't know you. And I think it was Christian Bale that said, he's hey, if you don't have my phone number, it looks like I don't really need to be taking any criticism from you. It's fine. So I think that's important for us. And I think that book is really good. So I'm going to have you guys, it's a short read. I think you guys should read that. But for me, I just did Strength Finders 2, and my number 1 is restorative. I also have analytical and strategic. So those things I'm always looking for the problem, trying to find the best way to solve it and make it right. And that's just a part of who I am. So it's not really quarterly, it's literally all the time. But I've had to learn how to keep that at bay and be able to give myself grace and be like, hey, it's okay. You need some work in this area. Like, you just started, or even if you didn't just start, you have another day tomorrow. And I think confidence too comes with give yourself a break. I'm very hard on myself, but giving myself a break has really built up my confidence because it's okay. Like, it takes time.
You know, it's so interesting that you brought up the Strengths Finder, because you are the first person to tell me about the Enneagram. I hope I said it right, the Enneagram. And I was so fascinated. And interesting enough, when people meet you, they may think you are a certain number, because I remember you and Olivia were both saying you thought I was number 7 or number 9. Yeah. And I ended up being a 3, not a 3 or 2, which is a helper. And when I saw the traits, I realized this is why I have some of the roadblocks in my own life, because of my rescue mentality. Like, I just want to help everybody to a default where sometimes I sacrifice helping myself. And that was great self-awareness. And it did really help me build confidence, because I looked at some of the things that have happened to me or may be going on. I'm like, why is that happening? Oh, because of my personality trait. So I love that you brought up Strengths Finder, because I love that one too. What other personality tests do you recommend? And when you see it, let's say you didn't like what you're seeing, what do you do then?
Absolutely. So I think this is a big part of being self-aware. Take Strengths Finder, take the Enneagram, take the Myers-Briggs, take the colors test, I think it is.
Okay.
There's another one where I don't know what the name of it is, and I apologize, but you have choleric. There's some like that. A lot of work environments will take them. If anyone knows, if you guys could just drop it in the comments, that would be great, because that's another really great one to take. Those are really great to take, just so that you can be self-aware and know, where do I need work? What do I do that's really good? Because the other thing is, yeah, we'll focus on where we need work, but let's also focus on our strengths. Like, hey, like, celebrate what we're good at too, and know what we bring to the table immediately. I think, you know, one of the questions we get at work all the time is, or when you have an interview, is, hey, what are your strengths? What are your weaknesses? You should have both of those like ready to go. The DISC assessment, thank you, I appreciate that. Okay, so those are some things that you can take. But the other thing is, if you see something you don't like or it doesn't really jive with you, ask the people around you. So this goes back to your tribe, the people you really trust, the people that you really care about. And if you are a business owner, ask the clients that are kind of walking with you, that you're walking with, like, ask them. If you have family that, you know, you're like my sister, I love asking my sister, and my sister will also tell it to me straight. And I know that she loves me, so that's okay. And you can ask your parents, ask your really close friends. It's okay to ask your good friends and your acquaintances, but ask your really good friends who have seen you go through things. I've seen you over the years, if you have the privilege of having friends for that long, just to kind of, you know, see, does that jive? Does that sound right? I don't know, because it might be you, but it also just might be the result. You may just have to retake them. And in the case of like this specific example.
It's interesting because you said if you're able to have friends for a really long time, that's another big indicator. If you are looking at your life and you see there's a lot of broken relationships and you don't have meaningful connections with anyone anymore, and you did at once, really evaluate what changed, because it's not always them. If you are the common denominator, then it's definitely you. And that will overall affect your communication and your confidence and your ability to captivate. So yeah. I love that point.
Absolutely. I do want to talk about captivation too, because I love how we've like really stuck in the confidence, which is really exciting for me. But captivating too. So it's like, right. It's like, okay, so we know what you're good at. Maybe you know where you need some work. Okay, that's great. We have the information, the baseline. So kind of like, what do we do next? And I think knowing your audience, so we talked about that a little bit, really knowing your audience is important. Knowing how you may have to be flexible, how you may have to come in. So when I speak to college students on Spinnaker Radio, I talk to Ospreys, and I've had moments where I'm like, hey, Jacksonville. And I'm like, this is a little bit more specific than Jacksonville. This is UNF, this is Ospreys. So being specific in that way is helpful, and meeting college students where they're at. Like when it's final season, the way that we gain trust, hey guys, I know it's final season, rather than just skipping over that and saying what I know I want to say. What does my audience need me to say? And that actually leads into my last point, which is staying on topic and staying on brand. So at KDL, we talk a lot about being on brand. And I think being on brand is making sure that that matches your audience. Your audience is such a big part of your brand. It's such a big part of your messaging. And how can we do that? We don't want to talk to, and I'm going to stay in the UNF example. I'm going to talk to UNF about where I went to school. I went to school at UM. And I may mention that to be kind of cheeky a little bit, but I'm not going to regularly be like, oh, when I went to University of Miami, when I did this, that's not really on topic or on brand for them. So we just want to make sure it's a revolving door, and it's really a big, it's an ecosystem. It's an ecosystem of who you are and who your audience is, what your messaging is, what they need you to say. And it all really works together to make sure that you captivate them and that they want to continue to hear what you have to say.
You know, it's so interesting because before I even knew how important branding was, you really broke it down for me. And one of the reasons why I recommend people to, obviously I'm very partial to KDL, so definitely, but if you're truly trying to build something and that's not your expertise, branding, you do want to have an outsider who is an expert that can help you, because it just helps everything to be so coherent. Today, I got a gift from someone and it was a lemon pendant. And I'm like, oh, so now whenever people, like all of my friends, family, even people I don't really know, they are constantly giving me lemons or lemons. And that is what people associate my brand with, sour points and lemon. And that consistency really does help you captivate, because now when I talk to people or people are saying sour points this, or talk about when life gives you lemons, I'm constantly captivating that audience. So that is a great point about being on brand. Oh, we got a little hit. Well, you know, I'm a Gator, so I'm right with you, Damani. Go Gators.
Oh, man, I am a hurricane, not a fan, but a.
But you know, that's another way to captivate, is having a little banter, right? Having some opposites. I love it. I love it. Even when it comes to fraternities, sororities, or different games or sports and things. Mm-hmm. Now, I also wanted you to broach on, because I loved all your stuff. You said how to captivate. You know, you want to be yourself, be confident, know your audience, stay on brand, stay on topic. Now, how you, I mean, I'm sure people can tell by your beautiful, youthful face, but I'm always so impressed with how tender you are in age and how much experience you have in life and how much emotional intelligence that you have. And it could just be a credit we have to give to your mom and dad. But as a young professional, how have you been able to deal and be confident with even people who are double your age that you're working with as clients? What do you do to keep that confidence and to captivate them?
Absolutely. So one thing, and I'll specifically speak with KDL, niche down your audience and realize who you want to work with, who you can work with. That doesn't mean that we don't talk to different people at different times. I've worked in education, so I know how to talk to kindergartners. I also know how to talk to 18-year-old seniors, and it's completely different, right? I know for me, I really wanted to work with people in the corporate space because that was so what I desired to do. I really was like, man, I want to do corporate. And for me, I realized there was a couple things, you know, just working for corporate America that for me didn't work, and using that to really meet people where they are. And I do have a tiny bit of experience in corporate, but meet people where they are. I think being empathetic, knowing my audience, knowing that knowing them, that they're used to structure, they're used to a certain way of things going, and that matches my personality. It matches my design. I tend to be more simplistic in design. So I had to kind of wade through and figure out who that is. There's a lot of trendy design that's really pretty and fluffy, and that's not how I design. So I'm like, I'm not probably going to work with too many people who are in the beauty industries or do like things like that. There's a lot of women over there. I'll work with women who want to more so coach people in the corporate spaces. I'll work with women like you, Lisa, who want to be speakers, things like that, on a more that are more just corporate, a different audience. And so I really liked that aspect. There are other things too, just from the perspective of you have to think about what your clients need and what you can provide. I know for sure people need someone who can tell them, hey, you need PR. I got my degree in marketing, PR, and creative advertising. They prefer to having a little bit, being able to be an expert in that area and be able to do multiple things. I've noticed a lot of people don't necessarily want to go to, here's a PR person, here's a graphic design person, here's a person for this, here's a person for that. So being able to, without trying to fill up everyone's needs, without trying to serve everyone at the same time, being able to say, hey, solopreneur, you can come here, let's get your media kit, I'll help you write it, we can do that, let's do the design for it, let's design your website. Being able to specifically really serve this audience helped me, but it does take practice, and it takes trying things and trying out people and figuring out what you don't want to do and who you don't want to work with, and maybe who you're not even really for. So I really doing that, and it takes practice, and I've had to learn, hey, people want, if you're working with older people, over communication, they want you to be on time. It's a different the times are different. So the way that I work as a millennial versus how people maybe Generation X work, I need to know what that audience is like, and I need to meet them there. And I think it's been a really great benefit for me.
That is so cool. You pretty much just brought it all full circle when you talked about confidence, because if you know your niche as an individual, and then if you are an entrepreneur, then knowing your niche as far as your business and realizing you cannot serve every population. So picking that niche is going to make you have more confidence. It's going to make you more captivating, and then you're going to have more charisma. So, wow, that was phenomenal how you did that. And even with whatever generation you're on, because I think people do get intimidated. I know I have had, now I guess I'm getting a little older, but I used to be intimidated with individuals who were deeper in their corporate career, or deeper this, or had more letters behind their name and degrees, and not realizing that everyone is just a person who wants to be loved, accepted, and empowered. And it doesn't matter where people are. So getting over that, because I know you brought that up earlier, how you said sometimes we have to kind of just deal with the self-talk that we have.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, knowing what you can do, how you can offer it, and it takes practice. So I started doing KDL about 5 years ago, and so now I feel very confident. But 2-3 years ago, I did not feel very confident. I was like, I don't know, who do I work with? What do I do? I'm I know exactly who I work with. I know exactly who my niche is. I know how to speak to them. I know what they care about, and I'm still learning. Be open to still learn. Be
that's true.
Self-aware and feel I need to be a little flexible here. I need to work a little bit more there. I need to be less flexible here. Always learning and realizing that you're not perfect, but there are people around you who love you and who want, your dreams to come true and want you to improve and be able to be yourself. It's the world. It's the foundation of confidence, really.
That is amazing. Well, Kayla, I tell you, you have just dropped some gems. I mean, anybody who felt like you didn't have gems, you got plenty. Definitely, we can watch the replay. But as we wrap up, and thank you all for your great comments. The chat has been really explosive. We have a lot of phenomenal people that are watching that love you and have benefited from your talents, including myself. But as we wrap up tonight, what are some final comments or last gems that you want to give to everyone? And how can people connect with you if they wanted to learn more about what you offer?
Absolutely. You guys affirm yourself. Make sure, because let's talk about that too. If you've been in environments where, you haven't had a lot of people speak life into you, make sure that you're speaking life into you. Take the reins on that. Start there. And I'm rooting for you on your confidence journey and rooting for you on your entrepreneurship or whatever it is that you want to do. If you guys want to get in contact with me, Keiko Nut, you can find me on Instagram. I'm also on Twitter. I love me some Twitter. So if you would like to see me on Twitter, you can find me there. As far as KDL is concerned, if you have questions about branding, niching down, if you're ready and you're like, I just want to work, you can find me at kdlcc.biz on Instagram. You can find me at kdlcc_biz on Twitter. Or you can just shoot me an email. You can DM me on here. My email is info@kdlcc.biz. So I'm waiting. I'm rooting for you. I'm so excited for you. I know that gaining confidence, it ebbs and flows, and that's okay too. Just make sure you have really great people around you and you have people that really care about you, your brand, your business, and whatever else it is you're trying to do.
Oh my gosh, Kayla, thank you so much. You are such a delight and a pleasure. And I can truly speak from just my own testimony. It has been such an elevated experience working with your company. And thank you for sharing with all of us about confidence as well as how we can captivate our audience.
Absolutely.
Now, thank you again. And thank you all for watching another edition of Speaker Circle. We do this every Tuesday here on Facebook Live. Next week, we have a special guest who works in the political arena. So I'll drop some more hints as the week goes on. Thank you again, Kayla. And let's all continue to grow together.
Absolutely. Bye, everyone.